Hey guys, Musa here, and today I'm bringing you my 2024 NFL first round mock draft post the NFL Combine. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, kicking it off with the first overall pick, we got the Chicago Bears trading this pick away to the Atlanta Falcons as the Atlanta Falcons select quarterback out of Southern California, Caleb Williams. Williams is going to be a great fit in Atlanta. The Chicago Bears get a lot for this. They get their first round pick this year, first round pick next year, and potentially even a third first round pick the year after that from the Atlanta Falcons. That is going to be good capital. The Bears, if they trade and stay with Fields, this is what they would get. They would get a massive load for the first overall pick, and I think the Falcons are willing to do so. Maybe. Like, it's still there iffy. Like, it's really hard to know which quarterback is going to be the team, or better yet, which team is going to be going up for the quarterback that everyone considers to be the next Andrew Luck, the next Trevor Lawrence. You get the point. Now on to the second pick. The Washington Commanders select quarterback Drake May out of North Carolina. May is a great fitting for the Washington Commanders. I think that team with Drake May would be very decent. I think Sam Howell is going to be a very good backup quarterback. I think he could be serving as a backup. But right now, keep him as a starter. Let Drake learn the system and eventually get his start so that he can then take over. That's what the Commanders should be doing if they select Drake May second overall. Now on to the next one. And the third overall pick is the New England Patriots selecting wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, out of Ohio State, this guy's incredible. He's the number one receiver in this draft, and I expect him to be the first receiver off the board over receivers like Malik Neighbors, Romeo Odunes, and others. Like, this guy is just too good not to take, and I think that Gerard Mayo and the New England Patriots will have him on the roster this season. Now with the fourth overall pick, Arizona Cardinals select Romeo Odunes, wide receiver out of Washington. This guy's, I believe, the third, maybe fourth best receiver. But I think he's going to be an excellent fit in Arizona. That give more weapons to Kyler Murray. Like, if Kyler Murray is truly your guy, then you should give him the weapons he needs. You already lost Hollywood Brown. You lost DeAndre Hopkins. You want to lose more receivers? Add a new one that will honestly guarantee that Kyler Murray has receivers to throw to this season. With the fifth overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Joe Alt, tackle out of Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's tackle, Joe Alt, is honestly one of the best tackles. I believe he's going to be the first one off the board, but I don't actually think he's one of the best. I think he's maybe top 3, but he's not number 1. I think Rashawn, I think his name is. That's his last name. I'm not going to say his first name because it's too long and I'm probably going to mess it up. But the reason I think the Chargers will take Alt over him is, honestly, I think Joe Alt is going to be the tackle to protect Justin Herbert better. Like, honestly, like, there are things that put Alt as not a good tackle, but I think there are more pros if he goes to Los Angeles over him going elsewhere. And I think the Chargers will make an excellent pick out of Joe Alt. Now, with the 6th overall pick, the New York Giants select Malik Nabers, wide receiver out of LSU. Now, Malik Nabers is honestly one of the best receivers, just like Odunes, just like Marvin Harrison, all these guys. He's going to be the third off the board. I believe so. I think the Giants need receiving help, and Nabers is the one to do it. Either he was going to be taken by the Chargers or he was going to be taken by the Giants. And I think he may fall all the way to New York, and New York snags him right then and there. Otherwise, they would have possibly taken Joe Alt or another offensive lineman to help Daniel Jones, but getting him a weapon is just as good. Now on to the 7th overall pick. We got the Tennessee Titans selecting Terrion Arnold, corner out of Alabama. Corner help is a need in Tennessee. Obviously, running back is also a need, but I'm not thinking of running back in the first round. Not with all these other running backs that have failed in the first round. And I think that cornerback is a much bigger need. Why not add a very good one like Arnold out of Alabama? And I think he'll be an excellent corner for the Tennessee Titans, taking down the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Colts receiving course. Maybe not 100% of the time, but maybe 80 to 70% of the time. Now, with the 8th overall pick, after trading down with Atlanta, the Chicago Bears select edge rusher Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Now, this is going to be a very good selection. Pass rush is in need, and you need to work on that defense. I know you also need to work on the offense, get some more weapons, get some more blockers for Justin Fields. But I think Dallas Turner is one of those players you don't want to give up on. You don't want to skip on this guy. And I think the Chicago Bears are going to take him right then and there. Now, moving on to the 9th overall pick, we got Quinyon Mitchell. I think that's how you say it. Quarterback out of Toledo. Now, corner is also a great need for the Chicago Bears, and I think Quinyon is the best corner available. I think he's one of the top 10 corners in this draft, and he's going to be in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So I think that he's going to be helping the Bears out a lot. The Bears had back-to-back picks in this draft, but I'm going to say this, as long as they have all their picks in order, I think that the Chicago Bears this year might be a playoff team, not a Super Bowl team. Now, with the 10th overall pick, we got the New York Jets selecting Oluwaseun. I don't know if I said that correctly. I'm going to call him Olu. Tackle out of Penn State. This guy, like I said, he's the top offensive lineman, and it's going to be a miracle for him to fall to the Jets at 10. But after what happened to Aaron Rodgers, you have to upgrade that offensive line. Make sure that doesn't happen again. And even if Rodgers doesn't play after the season, like, it doesn't matter. Protect him and protect any future quarterback that comes after him, because honestly, 4 plays. That's all that Aaron Rodgers played for the New York Jets, maybe even less, until he got injured. That is horrific, and you need to protect your quarterback after that sort of injury. Now on to the 11th pick of the NFL draft. The Minnesota Vikings select quarterback Jayden Daniels out of LSU. I believe in Daniels being a great quarterback in the NFL. If Kirk Cousins is not there, that's the pick that's going to happen. I don't think that the Vikings are going to actually re-sign Kirk Cousins this offseason, but if they do, well, that's you guys. That's a you problem. But in the end, I think Jayden Daniels will be a very good quarterback to pair with Justin Jefferson and all those other guys they got there on the Minnesota Vikings squad. And honestly, I think that this is going to be a very good season if they take Jayden Daniels. I believe Daniels, if I'm not mistaken, he's also he's not a dual threat quarterback, but he can use his legs. So he can escape from incoming tacklers and he can throw the football downfield. What better quarterback do you want? Moving on to the 12th overall pick, the Denver Broncos select Laitu Latu, edge rusher out of UCLA. This guy has been pressuring quarterbacks like Caleb Williams his entire college career, and guess what? He's headed to Denver. Now, at this point in time, as I'm recording this, I know Russell Wilson has been released. I did do this mock draft prior to him being released, but in the end, I am not backing down with putting this guy 12 overall. I think that they won't select the quarterback, at least not in the early rounds. I think that they should select a quarterback. They should upgrade this team, make sure that it's ready for the next quarterback, because after getting rid of Russell Wilson, that is basically going into cap damnation. Because honestly, this team is not going to have a good time with Russell Wilson's cap. Hitting them, their dead cap, oh my god, this is just so horrific. But in the end, I do in fact believe that Denver will go edge rusher, and they'll upgrade their offense eventually for the next quarterback that comes along for the Denver Broncos. Now on to the 13th overall pick, we got the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Talisi Fuaga, tackle out of Oregon State. Now, this guy is going to be a very good tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders. Whether it's Aiden O'Connell or Jimmy Garoppolo, doesn't matter who it is back there. You need to protect your quarterback. And I think that this is going to be a very good tackle to do so. And he's a very good one that may have gone earlier in the draft, but I think 13 is a good spot for him to fall at. The Raiders will not miss this chance to snag up one top offensive lineman in this draft in the first round. Now, with the 14th overall pick, we got the New Orleans Saints selecting edge rusher Jared Verse out of Florida State. They need edge rushers, they need defense, and honestly, this is going to be a tough battle. I think your quarterback situation is already good enough, so you're going to have to just deal with it. But when it comes to your edge rushers, I think that you should add more edge rushing power into that defense for the New Orleans Saints. And I think that Jared Verse does the job for the New Orleans Saints. He's a good pick for this Saints team at 14. Now, with the 15th overall pick, we got the Indianapolis Colts selecting Nate Higgins, cornerback out of Clemson. I think that Nate Higgins is going to be a very good guy to have. And I think, and I believe that corner is one of the top needs. Corner, maybe receiver, and potentially maybe even the linebacking position. So who knows? But at this point, I think Nate Higgins should not fall further. I think he's too good to fall further. And I think he'll fall to the Indianapolis Colts and help that defense even more than any other corner in this draft could have. Now, on to the 16th overall pick, where my Seattle Seahawks select Byron Murphy, defensive lineman out of Texas. Now, you're probably thinking, why not take a quarterback? There's some good quarterbacks still available. Yeah, they are. So that's why I have Seattle actually selecting a good quarterback in the third round, just like they did with Russell Wilson, this time with Michael Penix Jr. But for right now, they need to work on their defense, and their lineman is the first start that they need to do. They need to start working on this offensive line, and Byron Murphy is going to help the Seahawks with that endeavor. Now, with the 17th overall pick, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Cooper DeJean, the cornerback out of Iowa. Now, this is going to be a good selection. Get some help in the secondary. And honestly, there are some other players I could have gone. Maybe I could have gone with Marius Mims up here. Maybe even Kool-Aid McKinnister. But I think that Cooper will do a very good job for the Jacksonville Jaguars this season and for future seasons as well. Now on to the 18th overall pick. We got the Cincinnati Bengals selecting J.C. Latham, tackle out of Alabama. Need to protect Joe Burrow. That's the number one thing. And that's why this pick is going to be. Because Joe Burrow needs to be protected, and J.C. Latham, maybe even Amarius Mims or even Troy Fanatu, these are some of the offensive linemen, even Jackson Powers Johnson, that could be selected. But I think J.C. Latham would fit the Bengals offense perfectly, and I think that he'll be the best option for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, with the 19th overall pick, we got the Los Angeles Rams selecting Kool-Aid McKinnister, cornerback out of Alabama. Now, the Rams. They need help, and I think Kool-Aid will do the trick. And let's just hope he doesn't get sponsored by Kool-Aid, because that would be a very big pun on his name. But regardless, his cornerback skills are very good, and I think that he'd be a very good zone to man cover corner. I think that maybe you put him on the second best receiver on the other side, and maybe he'd replace the void that Jalen Ramsey left. But I think that Kool-Aid will be a fine addition to the LA Rams. Moving on to the 20th overall pick, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Amarius Mims, tackle out of Georgia. Now, whether they go up and take in free agency Russell Wilson or draft a quarterback, it doesn't matter. I think offensive line is going to be in consideration, because I think that their offensive line may not be trash, but it's not as good as it should be. And why not improve on it with Amarius Mims, one of the best offensive linemen still available in this draft at this point? And I think that this would be a very good point to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers if they also take Russell Wilson in free agency. Now on to the 21st overall pick. We got the Miami Dolphins selecting Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive lineman out of Oregon. Now I think that this is going to be a very good offensive lineman to take. You need to protect Tua. Tua, well, not last year, but like we saw him the year he got pummeled 3 times with concussions. It was not good. So just keep getting him more offensive linemen. Jackson Powers Johnson is one of the best offensive linemen in this draft, interior offensive lineman. So I think he'd be the best option for the Dolphins at 21. Now moving on to the 22nd overall pick, and the Philadelphia Eagles select Troy Fanatu, tackle out of Washington. I think that this is going to be a good pick. Fanatu has been a very good tackle for the Washington Huskies and protecting Michael Penix Jr. But in the end, now that I think about it, with the retirement of Jason Kelsey, I would have picked Jackson Powers Johnson if he had not gone 21st to the Dolphins. But offensive lineman Troy Fanatu would be a great option as well. So I think taking him would be a very good selection for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Now with the 23rd overall pick, we got the Houston Texans selecting defensive lineman Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. Now this is going to be a very good DT to have on your roster, and I think that the Houston Texans already loaded on offense. They got their quarterback, they got a running back, they got some good receivers, they got a good tight end. Just improve on your defensive line and maybe a little bit more in the secondary, and you're all set for a Super Bowl bound team. And I think the Houston Texans selecting this guy would be getting a steal in the first round. At the 24th overall pick, we got the Dallas Cowboys selecting tackle Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Now, this guy is going to be very good for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, protected. If Dak Prescott goes down and Trey Lance comes in, you got to protect him too. So why not bring in a very good offensive lineman out of Oklahoma like Guyton? Like, all the good ones have been taken. Fanatu, Amarius Mims, Latham, and obviously the early first round ones as well. But I think that he's going to be a very good tackle for the Cowboys. Regardless, I think he's going to be helping out in the run game a lot. And honestly, maybe he be put on the right side rather than the blind side. But in the end, I think he'll help the Cowboys regardless. Now on to the 25th overall pick, where the Green Bay Packers select Ennis Rakestraw Jr. and the cornerback out of Missouri. Now, I think that Rakestraw is going to be a very good corner. Green Bay needs cornerbacks, and I think he'll be an excellent one to have to pair up with Jair Alexander. So I think taking him would be a very good option. I would be okay with taking another receiver or maybe even an offensive lineman. But right now, I can see the Green Bay Packers going corner rather than any of those positions. Now on to the 26th overall pick, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. Now, Brian Thomas, I think it's going to be a steal. Late round, first round, that's going to be a steal. And I know they just re-signed Mike Evans as well. Like, they extended him. But in the end, I think that having another receiver to add to to add to Godwin and Evans, I think Thomas would be an excellent slot receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And why not add another weapon for Baker Mayfield or any other future quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Now, with the 27th overall pick, we got the Arizona Cardinals selecting Demion Robinson. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Edge rusher out of Penn State. Now, this is going to be a very good defensive lineman, edge rusher, linebacker, whatever you want to put him at. He's going to be an excellent guy to have in the pass rush. And I think that the Arizona Cardinals will hit on this pick. And I think that maybe they won't be top in the NFC West or even like playoff bound, but at least they'll be mid-tier team this year if they select these guys. And honestly, I think that even without selecting these guys, as long as they hit on free agency and in the draft, they're all set. Now on to the 28th overall pick, where we have the Buffalo Bills selecting Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State. Now I think pairing him up with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis is going to be a very good for the Buffalo Bills. And I think that if it wasn't him, it would probably be a corner, maybe Lassiter or something like that. But in the end, I think Coleman is a very good option for the Buffalo Bills, and he'll definitely be a good option for Allen to be throwing to, so that he doesn't have to always focus on either Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs. Now, on to the 29th overall pick, where the Detroit Lions select Graham Barton, offensive lineman out of Duke. Now, I think Graham is going to be a decent pick. I may think that he's going to be a stretch at 29th in the first round, maybe early second round. But I think that the Lions are going to be probably desperate for offensive linemen at this point. Like, they're not too desperate to the fact like, oh, we have a terrible offensive line. No. But I do think that they'll need an offensive lineman sooner rather than later, and I think that's why they're going to be selecting this guy with the 29th overall pick. Now with the 30th overall pick, we got the Baltimore Ravens selecting Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon. Now you're probably thinking, what, another wide receiver? That's how good these guys are, and I think a bunch of first round wide receivers are going to be hits. And Troy Franklin is one of those that are going to be hits, in my opinion. So I think that they'll pick this guy up, pair him up with what was his name, Zay Flowers from last year, and maybe Odell Beckham as well, and have Lamar Jackson having more weapons on the roster and more young weapons for the future as well. Now, in the 31st overall pick, we got the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers selecting Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver out of Texas. Another wide receiver. Well, like I said with Troy Franklin, there's a bunch of good ones. And this is the last receiver in the first round that I am projecting. But in the end, I think Mitchell will be a very good guy to have. You got Brandon Ayuk, you got Deebo Samuels, you got now Mitchell. You also got the tight end and George Kittle. You got good running backs as well. I think that this San Francisco team is going to be Super Bowl bound again if they not only select this guy but do well in free agency. Now moving on to the 32nd overall pick, and the defending Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs select Kamari Lassiter, corner out of Georgia. Now, they don't really need as much as any other team. Just pick anyone you like. Like, that's the year that they picked what was his name? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I probably be the same way. Like, you just won the Super Bowl. Who cares at this point? Just pick anyone. And that's what I think is going to happen in this pick. But I also think Lassiter is very good, and he'll be a very good option. Like, now that L'Jarius Sneed is also franchise tagged, you're going to have to get some new young corners to replace him just in case he doesn't re-sign with the team in the future. Now, that was it for my first round predictions of the 2024 NFL Draft. Tell me what you guys think would happen down below. Do you think that I'm spot on, or do you think I'm wrong in certain areas? Do you think that some players go higher or lower? Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.